in addition to the online sessions. Happy to see some people back to this platform who are repeated, I would say, the audience, the participants. Because of you, this community is kind of building stronger and stronger. Some of you are also connected with us on the Green Learning Circles group, which is the WhatsApp group. Till the time, we start and people are joining in, I would request everyone to, one, switch on their videos if their network allows, and two, if you can briefly introduce yourself on the chat box as to what brings you here. And if you are here for the first time, you can also mention that. Until that time, while you'll be doing this, I'll be playing a small video which has been shared by the panelists today, which gives a brief context of her work, so that, once she comes in and shares about the project, etc., it will make more sense. So I'll just share the video now as you are also introducing yourself on the chat box. Thank you, Renu ma'am. I would also like all of you to introduce yourself on the chat box. Bhageshwar Singh, Vignesh, Hema, Sahil, Riya, Gagandeep. Okay, Sakaram Rana is from Institute of Development Studies, Jaipur, Rajasthan. Renu ma'am is a vice principal at RPVV, Delhi. So let me play the video first while you're introducing yourself, and then I'll introduce the panelists in a more formal way. Hello, Ria. We are studying sustainable development from TERI.
The rate at which waste is being generated is rising more rapidly.
Plastic is definitely in our food chain.
In October of 2015, Versova Beach was little more than a dumping ground.
Neel, a tiny island in the Indian Ocean, home to stunningly beautiful waters, spectacular beaches, ancient forests, and breathtaking marine life. It's a paradise for scuba divers, backpackers, and honeymooners, along with the 4,000 local people that play host to them all.
We are here for our honeymoon.
For honeymoon.
We are newly married. Yeah. We just got married on this 20th April. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, we see a bit of, the things are messy, things are like that, but it happens. It is usual now.
This is work in progress. The real problem for me is there's garbage everywhere. There's mountains of broken bottles, there's all over the beach there's broken glass. You can't walk on, the only areas where you try to walk on the beach you can't. I cut my feet within 5 minutes. There's smashed bottles and it's so sad. Best I've seen is just people burning plastic bottles, and that's not a good way to go about it. So it needs a recycling program. It needs a clear up program. Tourists need to be responsible here. People need to be responsible because you really are destroying this place.
It's clean and the water is clean, yeah. Where we go for diving, that spot is clean, but everything around it is not clean, and that is not good. But the reason people are shifting from Havelock to Neel is because this place is pristine. Now it is pristine. You give it a year, 2 years, and with the amount of flow of the tourists that are coming here, if we don't educate the locals, this place will become another trash heap and nothing else.
Okay.
So most of the households, what they're doing here is they have massive burning pit.
Yeah.
So dry, wet, plastic, whatever it is, they actually burn it.
Yeah.
Not because they want to, but there's no other option.
No.
So this is just one household, but that's what everyone in the Andamans is doing.
This here.
Yeah, so this is one. Once a week, once it gets a little bit full.
Yeah.
So that's when
Are they not concerned about toxication?
they actually don't know about toxications. The rest ends up in the ocean and whatever else ends up here.
The waste collectors of Neil Island are collecting unsegregated waste from public places like the market, beaches, schools, and the jetty area. The collector disposes the mixed waste to the landfill 4 times per day. Less than 20% of the hotels make use of the collection service. Households do not receive any collection service at all. But things are set to change now. So now meet Garima, who found a way to systematically begin segregation and get recyclables out of this island, which did not happen since its settlement in 1962. He started the Kachre Wale project, meaning the waste people, to devise a new system of solid waste management in Neil Island.
शहरों से भी लोग आते हैं, वो कचरा भी करते हैं, बट वो देखते हैं जगह ऑलरेडी गंदी है, इन लोगों को भी फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, तो हम भी क्यों फर्क आगे कुछ देखते हैं। तो ये कंबाइंड एफर्ट मतलब सब मिलके अगर करेंगे तो
Together with the Defence Wives Welfare Association, Garima conducted trainings for staff members to learn from the different recyclable materials while understanding the value of segregation for the island. It is a combined effort that requires support of the local people and staff alike.
As the resort starts segregating, she sends the waste to Port Blair, and then we help to send it to Chennai for recycling.
The beach, like right now we have done the beach cleaning there. We went to the dump yard, and we have even noticed that after doing workshops, many restaurants, hotels, and staying places have done segregation of waste. This is the base area for the project because it's a small island, and doing it in Port Blair would be tough because it's very vast and there are a lot of people there, and to make them understand, we are starting from here.
Tourists use a lot of plastic bags and bottles which they keep throwing around. They need to be made aware that how to properly dispose them.
This is the reason why Kachre Wale created segregation posters for hotels and resorts. That way they support them so that tourists start segregation as well.
dry waste, but no thin poly bags. Okay. So like this will go, but then it has to be this. So you'll have to wash it. She'll have to wash it like a utensil. And if you have any doubts, you call me. Yeah. And they come and look at the bag. No food particle should be stuck to anything that you're putting.
Short term, what we're looking at is segregation becomes a protocol for every waste generator. That means households, dive centers, resorts, shops, public places, all of them. And that we send out whatever is possible for recycling. We hope that hazardous waste can be taken care of right at the islands because it's very hard to ship it off. Wet waste, of course, we're hoping that we can compost.
Bamboo stick is different. Can't the leaf be just root?
You can do it. Like Karela juice.
Now segregating is easier because with that at least it's going to recycle. Otherwise they were just going to dump it. So recycling is a good way. And whatever bottles that I will find now on the beach, I will be getting them over here to plant trees. We don't sell water. This concept started in Havelock about 11 years back. Before that, there used to be a water bottle count, which everywhere they used to do in Andamans. They wanted to start something small where they can stop selling plastic.
This is for you guys. How much water you buy per day? How much what? We don't buy water. Never? No. We just clean up.
You don't feel happy because that's my workspace, and my workspace is dirty. And we literally clean it every week. All the divers will make an effort to at least clean the area where we are operating. We don't have the time to clean the whole area. Yeah, we make an effort to do that also once in a month.
Under the Kachre Wale project, beach cleanups are organized not only to collect the plastics from the beach, but also to ensure that it goes for recycling and does not end up in a landfill at the island.
So we're trying to get the trash off the beach. There's obviously lots. It interferes with the ecosystem, kills all kinds of life. And if it's a fish-eating community, it'll eventually get into the human system as well. So yeah, clean the beach. I do it more for fish than for humans. And we're trying to figure out a way to actually get it off the island. Because on Havelock, everything goes to a landfill, and that doesn't solve anything. It either gets buried or burned.
मैं ट्राई कर रहा हूँ कैसे गार्बेज कम किया जाए। जैसे एक टेट्रा बैग है, हम लोग इसको क्लीन करके भेजने का कोशिश कर रहे हैं।
Why do you like it?
Yeah, island also clean, no garbage, less garbage.
It's a very small island. There's almost 8 kilometers of road. So 8 kilometers of road to commute, to do anything related to trash is very easy. So I think they can all have a educational program or something, not just for the kids. The kids are still growing up. They'll learn eventually, yeah. But they should be also taught. So should be all the grown-ups there.
We do need to put restrictions on incoming plastic and all those kinds of material that can't be recycled. Because we're in the Andamans, it's in the middle of nowhere. Transport is a very, very big issue, and it always carries a carbon footprint with it.
But a year down the line, the way it's been going a year down the line, I think 70 to 80% of the people will start following this trend. And it's not a difficult trend to follow. It's better than burning shit right behind your house, And it's your kids only who are breathing that air. If they don't realize it now, they'll realize it later. And you're ruining your own soil.
We'll try to figure out solution for plastic and managing the waste, because lot of plastic coming in and there is no place to dump all these things. And yeah, people are here like you trying to make something out of it. That's what I wish for, to be a clean and plastic-free SharEd beach. Yeah?
All right, so that was a little video about the great work our panelist is doing. I welcome all of you again to SharEd for Planet. I'm Kritika, and on behalf of CreateNet Education, I welcome again all of you. We have been doing SharEd for Planet series since December 2021. And last month, we completed 1 year of doing these kind of events wherein we invite people from various backgrounds who are doing something for nature conservation, for environment, for sustainability. So beginning of this year, 2023, today is the first day of this year, we would say, wherein we have invited a panelist who is not just a panelist, but a very, very dear friend of mine from my school days. So it gives me more pleasure to invite Garima. Garima, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Yeah, so we studied 4th and 5th grade together, I guess, right? And since her father was in army, so she kept moving around, and she was just there for those 2 years wherein we developed friendship. And then we also started writing letters to each other, and then we lost touch for around, I don't know how many years, and then we met again in a school when I was doing my 11th and 12th, and she randomly comes for a debate competition. So, and I didn't know at that point of time that Garima would be doing such great work that today I'll be inviting her as a panelist. And I think गरिमा ने भी ऐसा कभी सोचा नहीं होगा कि हम ऐसा कुछ करने वाले हैं. So welcome. For a formal introduction, I would like to introduce Garima Punia, who has been working in the area of waste management since about 7 years. She has worked in various parts of India, such as Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand, Uttarakhand, Kerala, and the Andamans, as you already saw in the video. In 2018, Garima founded the Kachre Wale project, and I really like this name. Very authentic, very down to earth, and very, hitting the core ki acha ye kya hai, which was the first waste management initiative of the Andamans. And as a result, the segregated waste from top tourist destinations of the islands began to be recycled and processed, and the islands became cleaner. The model was also adopted by the Andaman government, who then onboarded her as a consultant for waste management. So this year, the last year in December, she just initiated first of a kind ocean plastics program in the Andamans. And right now she has joined us from the Neel Islands, if I'm not wrong, Garima. And she had just finished a cleaning drive, and I think it's her वो उसका धर्म बन चुका है. ऐसा लगता है कि वो उसके बिना जी नहीं सकती है, और हर रोज उसको वो कचरा साफ करने जाना ही जाना है. So over to you, Garima, and she'll be now sharing her journey through a presentation and probably through some videos, post which we'll open it up for some question and answers, which I also have, and I'll also open it up for the audience. Go ahead, Garima.
Hi, thank you so much, Kritika. And it's definitely nice to be, doing this. And true, nobody knew you would be doing this. I would be doing this. Life definitely, I guess, had better plans for us than we had for ourselves. Yeah. So now what I want to do, I want to jump to the PPT, and I will share my screen now. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
It's blank now. Okay, so before we start, I'm going to, I need a bit of an interactive session with everyone, and I would like that I have a few questions here, and if for every question at least one person can give an answer, that would be really nice. So
you want people to respond in chat, on chat?
Yes. Yeah, chat works. If someone wants to speak, that is also an option. But yeah, both work. So, I'll keep this chat box here. I'll keep this open as well so I can see it. You might have to read out the answers to me in the chat box,
Sure,
actually.
I would do that. I think people can type in the chat because too many voices will just create noise.
Yeah. So, yes, the first question is, does anyone know what were the first uses of plastic? Like when it was made, how was it used in scale? Anyone wants to give that a go? Also, it's not an exam, so you can give wrong answers. It's okay.
Pooja is saying buckets.
Buckets, interesting. No. Any other answer to that?
Come on, guys. Itne sare uses in plastic. Polythene. Somebody said polythene.
Nope.
saying to build a hard and long-lasting material. Okay.
That's
Tupperware.
general. Tupperware. No,
Tupperware.
even that was not the first.
Water bottle, toys.
Okay, no, all of these came later. What came first was plastic was essentially largely used in the World War II. And they had started trying to experiment with the natural substances to create a polymer or something, that they could make more and more out of, because people started realizing that there are less natural resources in the world. So they wanted something that was infinite. Combs were decorated with turtle shells. Furniture was made of wood, and there was some sense that these materials are limited in nature, and that is why the hunt was on for something that is not limited. And in the World War II, they started using plastic, and radars, parachutes, these kind of things had plastic inputs in them, which also made the equipment lighter, easier to carry. And when the World War II ended, um, and now I'm going to go back to another thing, and we'll come back to the World War. Does anyone know that why were pesticides created? Does anyone have a guess on that? And I'll take maybe two answers on that at best, not more than that. Pesticides and herbicides, what we use in fields to kill insects. Anyone giving it a try, Kritika?
Warfare.
Warfare, very interesting. How?
To wash bathrooms.
No, not to wash bathrooms. Whoever said warfare, can they speak more about that?
Pooja, if you can write more about warfare, or maybe speak up. Vignesh is saying huge factories lying idle.
Factories lying idle.
Sorry, who is it? Yeah, so Pooja is saying to create gases for chemical warfare.
Gases for chemical warfare. Close. The first pesticides actually were never pesticides, they were biological warfare. So, for example, if India is to go to war with another country and they decide, that we would want to, and this is back in the 40s and 50s, we're talking about this, right? So, country A decides that we can contaminate another country's water supply, for example. So that's biological warfare. The other is the use of such gases like cyanide to kill Jews and other people that the Nazi regime in Germany did not like. So they put them in gas chambers, and these kind of gases were used to kill these people. Now, once the war was over, the producers of these pesticides didn't know how they could go on making money. Now, because the war is over, these militaries will not be buying these products. And that is when they came up with the idea that they will sell these chemicals in a slightly different ratio as pesticides and weedicides. And in fact, potassium, which is nitrogen, which is used as a fertilizer, these things were also initially used as ingredients for warfare to make bombs. And it was only when the war ended and people wanted to keep making money out of it, that's when they rolled that one out as a fertilizer. And why this is important is because we have to understand how the corporate interests and marketing have moved in the past 1 century and how that has impacted our choices. Now, in the same way, plastics producers wanted to, keep making money out of it. So they decided to make a lot of things which, we never needed. Now, I think we've covered this. What were thought to be its benefits when it was first invented? Primarily that it is infinite. So I already gave that answer. Now, this is an interesting one. I always get interesting answers to this. Are humans intrinsically, do you think humans are basically greedy, that selfishness is a core human trait, and that we can't. A lot of climate change thinkers, for example, say that because we can't think long term, that is why we're not able to process information about climate change, because a lot of things are projected in the next 50 or 100 years. And is this why we can't, stop using things like single-use plastics? So do you think humans at core are selfish or greedy, or, survival is our intrinsic characteristic?
So it's a yes or a no answer, right? Question.
Yeah, unless someone has a in between.
So can we have few responses on the chat? Pooja is saying yes for short-term actions.
Okay. Anyone else?
Renu is saying yes.
One
Hema is
more?
saying yes.
So no one has said no.
Nobody is saying, yeah, Shamal is saying no. Gagandeep is saying no.
Interesting. Okay. I'll ask them later, why do they think no? Does anyone know how improper waste management is a cause of global warming?
Okay, before that, Sahil also said that it's not wired, but the current social situation is complicated.
Okay. So how does improper waste management add to global warming? This is a very quick answer. Nothing complicated here.
Ria is saying because of methane. Methane release, Pooja is saying.
That is one.
Soil.
Yeah, but that's pollution, but the first one is very bang on. Yes, methane release. So when you dump mixed waste in a landfill, because there's organic waste in it and it's not composted properly, there's a lot of anaerobic composition without oxygen. So methane is released, and methanes contribute at least 11% to methane from landfills contributes at least 11% to global greenhouse gas emissions. And the figure could actually be much higher now that we're getting more data. Now, does anyone know what is plastic made of?
That's a very chemistry question.
No. It's a very simple answer. Yeah.
Okay, Vignesh is saying fossil fuels, Pooja is saying polymer, Sahil is saying hydrocarbons.
Polymer is another name for what plastic is. The first one is close, but oil. If you didn't have
Agishwar is saying polymers from hydrocarbons.
Yeah, that's no. You can't explain that to your grandmother, no?
Vignesh is saying dinosaur.
No, that is a bit of a, it's not actually dinosaurs. It's mostly, so wherever oil comes from, so when you mine oil and when you get oil, one of the other things that you make from oil is plastics. That is where plastics come from. And I want to think about this. Oil is a major source of global warming. Plastics are made from oil. What does that make you think? This is a food for thought. Now, this is a graph that shows you plastic production from 1950s to 2015. So 50s is, when it starts commercially. And you see the graph is slowly rising. And by about 80s and 90s, it's really picking up. And then it's a very, very sharp increase after that. And why that happened, we'll get to that. And you look at the figures, from 0 to we are 350 million tons every single year. Now, these are some of the advertisements. Now, when I said that we didn't need plastics, now a lot of you said that humans are greedy. They will only think about their convenience. If that was true, would people have spent millions and billions of dollars trying to convince people to move from sustainable habits? Like you see on the left photo, that woman is carrying back glass bottles, and this is the advertisement is telling them to toss them away. They're trying to change behavior. The disposable cups, which is an absolute menace these days. So again, this is the plastic cup at toss away prices, makes paper cup strictly old fashioned. Again, more cups. Look at the advertisement. A Dixie cup dispenser in your kitchen saves all this work. So convenience is sold as a virtue. And these days, washing machines, mixies, everything that supposedly saves you work is supposed to be very good. Labor is supposed to be, hard work is supposed to be something only a laborer does, at a construction site. And anyone who has to do hard work or physical work to earn money, it's considered a demeaning job. And anyone who has to use their brains, sits on a computer, that sort of work is more appreciated. Baby bottles. In this disposable age, is there a reason for a non-disposable bottle? And fun fact, most baby bottles, all baby bottles have very extreme toxic chemicals in them. They're called BPA, something that's known, it's so well known that in some countries, including India, there is a ban on using BPA in baby bottles. But now there's BPA2 that's being used, and the kind of effects that we're talking about is impact on the development of brain, endocrine disruptors. So they disrupt your hormonal, the way your hormones function, infertility, immunity disorders. And all of these are multi-generational effects, and they impact children more than they do adults. Now, this advertisement claims that it's only a bottle that can feed you very well. I mean, not even a mother's breast can feed you as well as a bottle can. And that is the height of advertisements that we're talking about. Now, Lysol. Does anyone know what was Lysol first used for? Let me know if there's an answer, Kritika.
Yeah. Lysol. मुझे तो cleaner याद आता है. Floor वाला Lysol. Detergent. Moita is saying detergent.
No. Anyone else? We'll take one more.
The Lysol brand बन गया है. Pooja is saying insecticide.
Feminine hygiene. It was a vaginal wash, and it was marketed as something that could save marriages. So women could, kill germs and have a safer marital life. That is how Lysol was first marketed. And now imagine this is something that we would not like to even touch with bare hands, right? We dilute it in water, and that's how we use it. 7-Up. I love this ad because what it's saying is that 7-Up is so amazing that if your child is not drinking milk, just add some 7-Up in it. It'll make it tasty, and then feed your child with that. This is all the Tupperware on the left, that kind of containers and everything that's starting to come in by the 60s and 70s. And then claims are being made that if you wrap vegetables up in plastic, then they will be fresh. Someone needs to go and mute.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So now this is to give you a context of where we started with plastic. We are often told it's a very life-saving thing. And the reason I told you about these chemicals is to think about whether it really is life-saving. There was a very recent research that came out that it draws correlation between rising infertility in men and the leachate of toxins from plastic packaged products. There are also studies that show higher level of chemicals in people's bodies when they come in contact with these kind of plastics. They found plastics inside placenta of a pregnant woman. They found plastics inside lung tissue. And it's now understood that we are in one way or other eating about a credit card worth that much size of plastic almost every week. And that means we are taking in all these toxins. And then is it really something that is life-saving? Is it really something that we need? It's something that I want you to think about during this entire our session. Now we'll jump to the Andamans. Now you have a context of why plastics are bad. So far, people just think that plastics is all about, it's dirty, it litters a place, it chokes drains, it pollutes the ocean, animals, they die because, it gets trapped in their gut. But there's a lot more happening. And by the way, the number of chemicals that are used in making plastics is at least 20,000. So that is the variety of toxins that are used to make these plastics. And the last fun fact about these chemicals is that how they measure toxicity. So if someone, and this is in the US, if someone has to see if this particular chemical is safe or not, they will put a certain amount of it, they'll put a certain amount in a solution in water, and they have these test animals, marine animals. If in 72 hours, 50% of the population dies, then it is considered toxic. But if 49%, dies, it is not considered toxic. Now, this is only death in 72 hours. There is zero studies to understand the effect on the development of brain and body, immunity, allergies, cancer, and everything else that comes under this entire umbrella. There is no study on that. So everything that is so-called safe, now really think about it. Is this the criteria of safe that we want for our kids and for our families and for ourselves? Now, we saw the video, so I'm going to quickly go through this. The Andamans are 800 islands. You see where they are on the map. And and the third photo, the tiny one, which says Lakshmanpur, that's Neil Island. The longest road is 7 kilometers. So it's a very small island. This is a view from the top, just to give you a context of how dense the jungles are. Now, ecological importance. 2 out of 6 marine national parks in the country are here. 10% of India's endemic species are in the Andamans. And it's a major turtle nesting site for 4 turtle types, including the world's largest leatherback. And Andamans is a major, major turtle nesting site for these beautiful turtles that have been coming for millions of years to this place to lay eggs. Now, through the project that happened, we went from unsegregated to source segregation. You see the quality of segregation. Again, covered in the video, so I'm not going into details. That was a dump site at Neil, and now, waste gets transported from Neil and Havelock to Port Blair, from where it goes to the mainland. This is marine litter, our focus today. And it's not easy to take out marine litter, by the way. It gets stuck in jungles by the side of the beaches, and the leaves that you see, thorny leaves. I mean, today only I got pricked 4 times, and I had to take out a good 5-7 thorns, really long thorns out of my hand. And now we try for marine litter to get collected and recycled. Now we move to the current project, India's first program for marine litter recovery and advocacy, or in easier words, India's first program for ocean plastics. Couple more photos. All these photos, by the way, everything you're seeing in the PPT is from the Andamans, either clicked by me or a friend. So that turtle is choked on plastic. And that fish, as you can see, is going to die right there. All the trash that you see on the beach is from other countries. There'll be maybe 5% representation from India. It comes from the ocean. That's a plastic cap stuck inside corals, and very hard to take out when it's in a position like that. A plastic bottle on the ocean bed, that was about 10-12 meters. And that is the effort, the massive effort it takes to remove plastics from under the ocean. This was about 12 meters depth, and they recovered 12 kgs in about 5 to 8 hours of diving. So this is a lot of effort for just 12 kgs. Now there's 5.25 trillion pieces of plastic in the ocean. Can anyone take a guess as to how much of this is already under the ocean? Any guesses? What percentage is under the ocean? Or everything is on the surface?
Basically कितना डूबा है और कितना तैर रहा है.
I can also speak in Hindi if that's more comfortable.
Yeah, you can use both languages.
Okay, तो इसमें से पूरा प्लास्टिक में से कितना समुद्र के अंदर है, कितना तैर रहा है ऊपर? Does anyone have a?
So Shamal is saying 70%, Renuji is saying maybe 50%.
70% is under the ocean.
अरे क्या बात है शमल, congrats. अभी goodies आने वाले हैं गरिमा की तरफ से from Neil Island.
And the rest 30% या तो वो beach पे मिलता है or it is stuck inside corals like in the photos we saw. Now, why is marine litter bad? For a place like Andaman, it's very bad publicity for tourism. So if this place keeps getting dirty, tourists nahi aayenge, because you will come here and you'll be like, kitna kachra hai idhar, why will I come? Bombay mein abhi kaun jata hai Juhu beach pe? Very few people go there. Fishing industry, इनको हर साल billions of dollars का नुकसान होता है क्योंकि इनके nets में plastic फंसता रहता है and it keeps damaging their gear. So it's a big loss for them. Now, corals. Does anyone know corals ocean में कितना % जगह लेते हैं?
%80% Pooja is saying.
One more guess I will take.
Shamal is saying 30%.
1%. That is the amount of space corals take in the ocean, and 25% of all the fish life in the ocean is directly dependent on them. And the rest of the 75% is in some way dependent on the corals because they eat the smaller fish. So if corals fall sick, and why will they fall sick? I mean, there's already global warming, there's already pollution in the ocean, even if you remove plastic. Once plastic comes in contact with coral, its likelihood of falling sick goes from 4 to 81%. So when you, if corals are endangered, the entire system in the oceans is in danger. And if you don't have anything to see underwater, coral nahi hai. So there's no scuba diving. Now people come in the Andamans primarily to scuba dive and snorkel. And if you don't have that, will as many tourists come? 2/3 of the entire population of the world is dependent on seafood in one way or the other. Andaman's 97% people eat seafood. Now, if there is, imagine if the corals die and there is a large scale collapse, there's no fishing, there's no tourism, there's no scuba diving, there is immense stress for food. In fact, you can predict that there'll be a lot of loss of life and riots because if the ocean collapses. And a very, very less known fact is that in some places, they also extract some things out of corals, which help in making medicines. So if we lose corals, we also lose that potential. Now, these are all the problem statements that we've discussed, and I'm going to share 2 videos with you to showcase what we are trying to do with reference to, one second, I'm just trying to change the screen. Yeah. Now, how are we trying to tackle this problem? Okay, this is loading, so just hold on for a bit. And in the meantime, what maybe we can talk about while it loads is that can anyone take a guess on how many countries, which, not which, but Andaman में कितना देश से कचरा आता होगा? And I'm saying कचरा आता है from the way of the ocean. So if anyone has any guesses for that.
Shamal is saying 42.
42
Dinesh-
countries?
Yeah. Dinesh is saying 6.
42 is like what? 25% of the world. Kritika, I'm going to just give you the link. Just see if you are able
Sure.
to open this faster than me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Type it on the chat.
I've already sent it to you.
Yeah. Is it?
Direct message?
Just type it out only chat once because I've logged in from 2 devices.
Okay. 1 second.
So there are many guesses, 15, 7. Then there is a guess 60, 76, 100, random numbers.
Cool. I'm sending you 3 links and you can just play them in that order. All of them are very short, 1 minute or 1.5 minutes. That's it. So I'll stop sharing the screen. Are you able to open it?
No. So I would request my colleague Mohita to please go ahead and share because my laptop is giving some issue as जैसे ही मैंने इसको शुरू किया. Mohita, Kamakshi, are you there?
I'm here. Let me just try.
So by the time she's trying, do people still think that that humans are primarily greedy and yeah, okay, the video is playing.
I think we can stop sharing.
Are there 3 videos to play or is it the same one?
Garima, are you here? She's stuck. Okay, we have lost the connection at her end. But play it. I think, yeah, it was. Did we play
It was a
this
choppy
earlier?
day. We decided
Okay,
to
yeah.
snorkel. So let's see what we found. So here you can see a lot of fishing nets stuck inside corals. And this seems to be an anchor rope, very long, at least 10 to 15 meters long. I decided to swim along the length of it, and as you will see at the end, it seems quite tightly wrapped around that coral. This is a fishing line and it's completely covered with algae, so every time I tried to get it out, my hand kept slipping. And that's another patch of coral where the fishing line is completely entangled. As per some studies, fishing lines or fishing gear can make up to more than 50% of all the plastic waste that is in the ocean. Can we think of better ways to find our food? So a few days ago, we decided to go for our
Yeah, I think we can stop sharing.
There's one last video, but yeah, I think we can do that one and then we're done with sharing.
Okay, where is it?
Did she get it? Does she have the link? Should I send it again?
I think there was one more link, Mohita, in the same. Yeah, there were 3. I think you sent 2 links.
1 second.
You've sent 2 links, Garima.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I've just sent it again. And on Chrome, you can just zoom the Chrome window a little bit, and then the video will become a little larger. There's no button on Instagram to zoom it.
Yeah, sure.
So that's all the countries that we found labels from, while we're doing our program right now. And it'll be updated because, just today, for example, I found a bottle from another country. So, as I was saying, the idea is to recover as much as we can from the ocean, to send it for processing as much as we can. I say processing and not recycling because not all of this plastic can be recycled. A lot of it will go into cement kilns where it's burnt at a very high temperature. Not the best solution, but we have no other solution right now. And also recycling. A fun fact about recycling is that it is not a solution. And I would like people to remember, if there's 3 or 5 things that you take back from this talk, recycling is not a solution. And why it's not a solution is because, one, most plastics are not recyclable, and second, even the ones that are recyclable, they can only be recycled 2, 3, 4, 5 times. After that, it will end up in the landfill, it will get dumped somewhere, it will have to be burnt. So, we have to think beyond recycling and processing if we have to solve this problem of plastic. And that brings me to the other part of the program that we're doing. So when we collect all of this, we don't just send it for processing. Every single piece of item, every single piece of trash or litter that we find is documented. We try and understand where it's coming from, its origins, types of plastic, because we want to set up a feasibility, we want to do a feasibility study, get some numbers to understand what kind of systems need to be put in place for this processing, and also use that data for international advocacy, because this trash is not coming from India. Very little is coming from India. So much of it is coming from outside countries.
So how many countries then?
I've identified 15 up till now.
15.
Yes. And yeah, so when someone gave the answer 15, I was like, maybe this person saw the Instagram video. Maybe. I don't know if I put it up there, but if it was a random guess close, yeah.
Yes, she.
Yes. So, so that's about the marine litter program that we're trying to execute right now. And okay, here was a guess. Cool. So yeah, I think I am now open to taking any questions if there are.
So I have few questions before our participants start asking questions. You can also type your questions on the chat or also raise your hand. Most of it you have covered, but एक बहुत ही curious question है. So I was watching one of your videos and you were getting a seat in some university in UK, and you didn't take up that seat, and you devoted your life for this. So what motivated you to basically work into this field of waste management, and how did you end up choosing Andamans?
I came to Andaman in 2017 as a tourist, and I was already working in waste management by then. It was almost 3-ish years, I think, by then, 2 or 3 years. And after that, when I came to the Andamans, it was shocking that such a beautiful place, top tourist destinations like Neil and Havelock had zero waste management. And the islands were struggling. People were burning waste, or it was just being dumped in landfills. And for Neil and Havelock, groundwater, rainwater is the only source of water. So if you have a landfill on such small islands, I don't see how your water source is not going to be polluted. So I had thought I would like to come back here and do something. And I get asked this question a lot, leaving Sussex, sacrifice and all. And I just want to sort of clear this out. It was not a sacrifice. And in life, if anything feels like a sacrifice, don't do it, is something I would say. And this is something I try to, if it feels like a sacrifice, then there's something wrong. It was just, Andaman's option was so much more enticing in terms of learning and everything. And the other factor, which doesn't get highlighted in a lot of these articles, was I didn't get a scholarship. And my parents really wanted me to go, and we were considering taking a loan and all of that. And when I thought about it, what I wanted to do after, I said, even if I go to the UK and if I do this master's, I still want to come back to this place. So how will that master's help me in coming back to this place, right? I mean, if this is what I want to do anyway, scholarship, no scholarship, and maybe it was, and sometimes when I think about it, I'm a believer. I think sometimes, things happen, you don't understand why they happen. It turns out for the good, and maybe not getting the scholarship was a good thing. And, it gave me that a little extra push also to go to the Andamans. And I'm quite happy that it worked out like that. And this place has taught me so much. So yeah, that's how I came here.
And also people go to Andamans for their honeymoon or for some vacation, and you are like living the vacation life probably. Also, giving back to the island so that it can be cleaner for more tourists. So what better than that? So what kind of challenges do you really face when you kind of go for day-to-day, this drive? Of course, you have the drive to go for the drive, but then what are those challenges on ground which you really face?
In the context of, for example, the marine litter program, there is very, very little awareness with reference to why it's a problem. Generally, people will say, beach pe kachra ho raha is a bad thing. But why is it bad? For example, I've seen people take plastic bottles, which they find on beaches, and, they've traveled from wherever they have, and they will use it in their homes to drink water. And then I had to tell 3 people not to ever do that, because when plastic is put in water, it acts like a sponge, and it can be up to 1,000,000 times more toxic than the water around it. So everything that you're putting in the ocean, there's radioactivity, there's chemicals from industries, literal sewage. So all of that is getting soaked up in the plastic. And when a fish eats that plastic and we eat that plastic, we're ingesting all of those chemicals. And in the same way, if we start, even if we washed it, honestly, I don't know how much just washing it with water reduces that contamination. So there's very, very little awareness. And this is, and disclaimer, this is no pointing fingers. This is what the situation is, not just here, in a lot of in many places across the world. So working here also then means that I have to start the awareness on it from, if not 0, then maybe from 10. So that is a challenge. If that was not an issue, then operations would be a lot more easy. The weather 5-6 months of a year is monsoon. So actual operations can happen only the rest of the 4-5 months. the rest of the months, collecting of trash and all of this, because it's very, very crazy monsoon here for 4 or 5 months. Can't happen. And it's distant. Getting out of the Andamans to the mainland is a whole hassle. I have to take a ferry, go to Port Blair, and then the flight ticket has to be booked in advance, because especially after COVID, the fares have really increased. It's tourist place. So it can be, in December, tickets were as much as 50,000 one way. Now imagine if there was an emergency in the mainland, and if I had to go, I would be spending 50,000, which ideally would have been maybe 1 or 2 people's salaries, or maybe 10 interns' salary for the entire month. So yeah, these are the challenges of living in a place like this.
So the follow-up question is then, what kind of support are you looking at in driving this Kachre Wale project? Stakeholders.
Yeah. So when this marine litter program was built, it was one thing that was very clear to me was that this has to be a multi-stakeholder approach. Kachre Wale or I do not want to be an organization that is doing marine litter in the country everywhere. No, this has to be 20 organizations working together in different parts of the country doing it, more and more people getting involved in it. Organizations, people, professors, people from all walks of life. So there have been a couple of instances where, because I am in the process of fundraising, some funds have been raised, some have not been raised yet. So some people have offered to pay all the money, or even more, but they have wanted to call it their project. And even then I decided, no, I'll stick to the gruel. I will try and find more people who can pitch in small amounts. And so it remains what it is. It is a multi-stakeholder approach. So of course funds is one thing that we are still looking for. But otherwise, if there are people, especially young kids, students who are interested in volunteering time, and it could be simple things like creating content, assist with some documentation, data analysis, help with some networking, these kind of things. And if people can volunteer some time, maybe a few hours a week or a few hours a month, but consistently, then that is something that would be very, very appreciated. And I see that there are some people from the education sector here, and some people who work in schools or are principal students. And I would love, if it's possible, love to hold fundraisers in their schools, voluntary. I can do like an online talk, and if people want to contribute money, and of course in that session, then there is a lot of knowledge sharing as well. So yeah.
So there is a question on the chat box from Zainab. She's saying that tourism is a source of income. However, it can be devastating for waste management. In Port Blair, there was a huge resort set up. So how responsible are they or other units about waste management?
So the Kachre Wale project is primarily based out of rural Andamans. So I'll focus about rural Andamans. And when it comes to dry waste management, since the last 2-3 years after the Kachre Wale project, there has been a lot of change. So most hotels, if not all, do segregate their waste at least into dry and wet, and the dry is collected by the panchayat. As far as the wet waste is concerned, there is a lot of work that still needs to be done, because ideally, as per the rules, hotels are supposed to compost or biogas or vermicompost their own waste. But this is not something, very few hotels are doing this. I also feel that they need a lot of trainings for this. So the government and civil society organizations and hotels should sort of come forward, all of them, again, multi-stakeholder approach, talk to them about the different kind of options available, give them trainings if required, and then I think that big problem can also be solved.
Okay, actually my name is Kaniz Zera. This is my daughter has used my system, so she changed the name. I'm equally proud of that name. I'm like 69 years old. Okay, I have worked in many things in 55 years of working. Basically, I'm a nonfiction editor. I would like to help you in two ways. One, I have a good network with schools here and colleges here. If you can get me that online introduction to your work, I would be very delighted to share it and talk about raising money. I have raised a lot of money for HelpAge when I was like 20 years younger, and I was traveling from place to place in cities of Madhya Pradesh. I'm based in Bhopal. I have spent a lot of time in many places. I want to tell you that my heart breaks because I don't know how to throw anything on the floor or outside. And I live in a complex, and I think the only thing we need to do is somewhere get a chip that says, put waste where waste belongs. If that could happen, I think it will solve so many more problems, because when waste is managed, then all the other infrastructure also comes in. And of course, the path is education. I do speak, I train speakers, I have mentees of all kinds. I want to be involved with this project. It's very dear to me. I have made science films for Doordarshan when there wasn't any computer-aided design. So all the animation had to be done one frame at a time. So I can do that kind of thing. I'm excited about it. And one film was about gerontology, and one was about conservation of energy. At that time, we were talking about new types of energy. This was way back in 1975. So, and it was very exciting. And the whole film, except operating the camera, and the narration was done by Siddharth Basu or somebody. So anyway, I was in Delhi University, I know those people, but I want to tell you, I really want to be part of the program. I can do content development, I can do networking. I sit with a computer most of the day. I have the time, more than the time, I have the energy and the commitment. So I want to die empty. So please take me on.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was, I mean, I just feel so happy when people come forth like this and they want to volunteer time. And, sometimes this is a lot more precious than money. So thank you so much. And
I can raise money. I know how to raise money. I've raised.
I'm saying even if you were not doing that, still that you're giving your
information.
time.
Information is my basic. Communication skills and information is power.
Yes.
When young people get that power, they will more. And it is this generation that now is between 10 and 20 that we can make the next world that we are living in a better world. Thank you.
Thank you, Kanizji. There is
I was just saying, if there's anyone on the team who can take emails of people. Cool. Then I can, we can.
You can drop your contact here on the chat, or Garima, you can drop your contact and email on the chat. There is another question from Bhageshwar. He said that it's a really amazing work and needs a lot of courage. He wants to ask how the funding is managed to continue activities and to engage manpower for capacity building, etc. And if there are any certain government intervention which are also assisting in waste management. I think part of it we have already answered.
Yeah, very quickly, when Kachra Valley project started back in 2018, it was an absolute individual effort. I had approached a lot of people for funding. No one was interested. So, there was not even money to buy gloves, to be honest. So it was pushing the panchayat and, speaking to divers, come, let's do a beach cleanup, talking to kids and these kind of things. And thankfully things worked out, and some support from here, there, like the Directorate of Shipping Services, District Legal Services Authority, the Defense Wives Welfare Association, from yahan se kuch, wahan se kuch karke, the success happened, and the government did start taking interest, and they onboarded me as a consultant for waste management. And, the entire system could not have been set up without government support and intervention, of course. So whatever happened, even at local level, panchayat agreeing to collect waste is a big intervention. It may sound small, but that is, it's a very important logistical chain. So that's how it happened then. And then when I was a consultant with the government, of course, I was on a salary, and then I had to support the government in all their initiatives for the entire Andaman and Nicobar islands. This current program right now is money that I put from my own income, along with money that has either come from donation or certain other organizations that are showing interest. And as I said, all has not, the entire budget of the program has not been fulfilled. So we are still looking at raising funds from other places. And we've got some local sponsors for some activities, and that's been really helpful.
Cool. The chat is also, flooding with people coming forward to help you. There's a voiceover artist, Shamal, who is wanting to give voice to whatever work you do. Maneet is a student. She wants to contribute in some way. Any other questions from the audience who is present over here? And I would like everyone to also switch on their video so that you can also see each other. It just, adds up to the connect. Saka, Ram, Rana, Nikhil, welcome, Dinesh, Pooja, Manjunath, Sahil, Vignesh, Ravita, Yashi, CS Vermaji, Archana. Do you have any questions for Garima? You can also raise your hand and speak. All right, we have got a question from Vignesh. Have you spoken with people on why they have a mindset to just throw things? And is there a global plastic treaty to end plastic pollution in coming future?
First, both questions are very, there are different questions in a way too. Different answers. Why people have a mindset to throw things. This is a different context in different countries, but let's say for countries in Southeast Asia, very large populations, so regulation and police strictness, all of that can't be at the scale of what happens in the West. And that's the situation that it is. There's no point judging. There's no point saying, oh, why can't we be like the US where there are so many fines? We have problems. We have a huge population. You can say it's a problem or a bonus in either way. So that is one thing. The other is our historic relationship with waste, which has been both positive and negative. Negative because of the caste system, which wherever it did function in, and in some places it was really bad. Waste was not considered something that everyone had to deal with. It was something that only one set of people had to deal with. So even today, the kachra work is still considered quite demeaning by a lot of people, and that was one of the reasons why my non-profit is called Kachre Wale. The project was called Kachre Wale, to remove the taboo and stigma around it. The positive thing was that Southeast Asian countries still remain, we are that part of the world where we like to save things, we like to hold on to things. Kapda phatega, hum pehle will stitch it, we will not throw it, we like to do second-hand things. I survive so much on second-hand things, whether it's books, whether it's clothes, whether it's recipes. And there's a lot of moving around of things that are already, so that demand for new things was not so much. You look at even polythene, yaar. I've seen my mother and aunties, they'll even hoard polythenes, ki, okay, ye liya, abhi ye waste nahi hona, phekenge nahi, and there's a bag full in the kitchen which has a lot of polythene bags, and they will reuse it as much as they can. And my mother will, if she has too much, she'll go give it, she'll wash everything, she'll give it to the grocery guy and tell him to reuse all of that. So we have a lot of these things too, and sadly we don't talk about it. Now, throwing trash, if you don't have a waste collection system at your home, if that system hasn't worked for such a long time, habits take time. And also, you looked at the advertisement, they have encouraged us to throw things very actively. And if 20 years of advertisement is not going to go away in a jiffy, and we have to keep working towards that. Now, in terms of a global treaty, it depends on what you're talking about. Now, what does it mean, global treaty? Is it about ships that throw waste in the ocean? Is it about countries? For example, you look at the Ganga, it starts from Gangotri, ends at Kolkata, Hooghly. On the way, so much trash goes into it. All the trash from India is going into the ocean and possibly landing up at some other countries' beaches. Same thing happens with, waste coming in the river from other countries. Then a lot of the Western nations where we tend to think they have awesome waste management. No, they don't. They incinerate a lot of their waste. Most of their waste is sent to India, Vietnam, China, Thailand for so-called recycling. A lot of it is in such a bad state that it can't be recycled. So it's burnt or a lot of it gets dumped in the oceans. Now you must have seen these silver, these paper, so-called paperish plates that have a silver lining, single-use kind of things. If you look at the back, you'll see that they are made in a Western European, Australian, like Sweden or Denmark. And what actually happens is it's like an Amul carton of milk, something like that of a different brand has been used, has been trashed, has been sent to a place like India for recycling. They've opened it, they've made a plate out of it, and this is what we eat food on. So, this is to give you a context. So when you say a treaty, there is a lot of factors here. And if you're saying, is there one treaty that handles all of it? No, we don't have that yet. But we do have something here or something there, those kind of things. But yes, there are efforts, that they're happening to have some kind of global treaty on plastic.
Sure. Gagan is a social worker and she's curious to know if you also connect to other organizations working towards minimizing and gradually ending plastic menace, India or globally. So basically the collaboration will be for sharing resources, knowledge, generating awareness, etc. If you do that,
Yes.
she's asking.
Yes, we are trying to do that. And also all the data that comes out, for example, from this project, we're not going to patent any of it. The IP rights may be shared by different organizations, but it's going to be open source. Different people can access it, if they want to read it, understand it. And we completely believe in sharing resources, and in terms of are we working towards minimizing plastic production? One of the reasons we are collecting data is to be able to talk about that. These kind of things require very hardcore data. And I've already said that recycling is not a solution. So of course, we have to look at ways of minimizing plastic production. That is the only solution that at least that I am able to see right now.
One thing everyone can reflect on is how do you kind of segregate waste at your own homes or workplaces? Like Archana ji has written that she has made cotton bags, but the members come from workplace, they carry the plastic bags. So basically she has replaced plastic with cotton bags, but also she's facing some challenges while doing so. So if we can all reflect on what we are already doing or what we can do, we have been hosting all of these sessions again and again. And I think one thing is significantly coming out that पहले से ही from the very starting point, पहले तो हम वो चीजें कम करें जिसमें plastic involved है, and then also even if you are using it, how do we segregate it? जैसे एक पैनलिस्ट हमारी आई थी, उन्होंने ऑडिटिंग योर डस्टबिन के ऊपर बात करी थी, ऑडिट योर डस्टबिन. So while we reflect on it, there is another question from Maneet, who is a student. He's asking how much pollution is created by plastic on a global scale. I think he joined late, but you want to...
There's at least 350 million tons of plastic that is produced every year. Of all the plastic that we have in the world, as per estimates, only 9% has been recycled till date. So since 1950, whatever we have produced till date, only 9% has been recycled. The rest has been burned, put in landfills, or it has gone into the ocean. So that is the scale of plastic pollution. There are also studies that tell us that microplastic pollution in the soil is extremely high. Everything's contaminated. So look at all these rural households which have received plastic, which have got plastic in their lives, possibly even before roads came to them, right? In the last 30, 40 years, they didn't have any waste collection. Now, if you dig the soil around their house, even if you dig 1 to 2 meters deep, and this is one thing I tried here where I live locally, there's so many things that come out, there'll be cloth, there'll be medicines, there'll be food packets, and it's just so much legacy waste. And it didn't just stay there, right? Plastic is not inert, it doesn't degrade, but it keeps breaking down. So much of it has gotten into the soil. And there's no way you can filter it out. It's absolutely impossible to do that. Also, segregation, yes, and we should really start composting, because in India, 50 to 70% of waste is organic waste. If all of us were composting it, our landfills would automatically be at least half the size of what they were. And if you're composting, you are automatically segregating waste. So the possibility of recycling the dry waste is much higher, because if plastic is dirty, it's very hard to recycle. So if dahi laga hua यूं ही फेंक दिया है, cheese ka can with a lot of cheese on it, you throw it like that, those things are hard to recycle because they're dirty. So it's also nice to wash these things, milk packets and all, when you put it out. And composting is easy, it is not smelly, it is not stinky, it feels amazing. You should definitely try it.
All right. So, do we have any answers to the question which I posed right now? How do you segregate your waste?
Yeah. So, okay, sorry, I just saw Mohita's question that says, what happens to plastic that is collected if it's not recycled? No, we don't have a facility. We don't, Kachre Wale doesn't believe in setting up third party systems in parallel to the government, because imagine if I don't have funding for 5 months, that facility can't run. So we believe in strengthening local government systems, and then there can be add-ons to that. But there's no point in creating an independent system that may work, may not work sometime. Now, whatever is non-recyclable is currently being collected. We will also have to send it to Port Blair, to people who are collecting such waste and sending it to be burnt in cement factories in the mainland. That is the only thing that can happen.
I have a question also. What is the vision that you see for the Kachre Wale project?
This entire scope about marine litter currently is seeming very interesting. And I think this is something we want to focus on for the next few years. But largely, I feel Kachre Wale is an organization that would like to work in areas where no one else is working. And that is why we came to the Andamans in the first place. It's a pristine place. It's beautiful. But there was no waste management work here. We recently did a study in Uttarakhand. It was a baseline study, again, a place which has minimal, almost no waste management. And I think going forward, this is something that is interesting to us as an organization to, work in highly challenging places. And because profit is not a concern for us, I mean, it's not our motive. We don't make money out of selling waste. So a lot of for-profit companies can only work in a certain place if they can make money out of the waste in some way. That is not what we are doing. So let's hope we, get to work in more places. And expand work in the Andamans.
Sure. Gagandeep is inspired to going back to how our ancestors lived. Like you talked about repair and not throwing, being conscious of choices, reducing packaged food. So composting helps giving back to soil, keeping basic utensils when on go to avoid using plastics. So basically she's resonating with what you said. Thank you, Gagandeep. All right, so we are almost towards the end of our session. Any more reflections or questions? You can raise your hand or type in the chat box. Yes, Mohita.
Garima, we work with a lot of educators here in Delhi and the school principals. Would like to know your thoughts on what can school leaders do, or how can they inspire? Any thoughts on this issue, and what can be some practices that they can take in their schools which can help the environment?
I mean, schools have to have programs, because that's such a formative age for kids. Depending, like of when I think of things that I could do in schools, and some things that I would be, one is of course, having sessions, people like me, or there's so many others in different areas who are working on waste. So, having those kind of sessions, so kids have this, they're getting good information instead of, all the advertisement and marketing that they're getting. The second is composting is fairly easy to do in schools if there is even a little bit waste, wet waste being generated. And if kids can do it, and I'm not saying the staff has to do it, kids have to do it. Then this is something they learn from a young age, and they can even pester their parents to do it, and they get their hands dirty. It's something, this whole EU idea about waste gets out of their mind, and they, when you see rotten food turning into really nice smelling compost, it's a very amazing feeling, and I think kids should definitely be exposed to something like this. So, offhand, these are two things that I think are so easy to do with kids.
Yeah, and Kanishji is adding to it, saying essays and poster contests, debates can be sponsored activities. Plantation and support growth from composting is a thrill.
Yeah.
I can see the thrill in your eyes also. Okay, so can we all switch on our cameras for a while? I just want to click a picture of all of us. Vignesh, Nikhil, Sahil, Manjunath, Pooja, Yashi, CS Verma ji, Renu, Surya, Isha, that we know कि कौन आया था हमारे session में. Pooja is a student, a lot of students join, and they give so many interesting responses throughout. Wow. देखिए रेनू जी किचन में काम करते हुए आपका सेशन देख रही हैं. क्या बात है. साथ में वेस्ट सेग्रीगेट करके उसी को आज ही कंपोस्ट बनाइए. क्या बात है. So, okay. बाकी और लोग कैमरा ऑन नहीं करना चाह रहे हैं लगता है. चलिए मान लेते हैं कि आपके एंड पे कोई प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है. I'll just click one picture. Okay. Thank you. So, if there are no more questions, are there any? One more maybe, and then we close. साका राम राणा, आप काफी देर से वीडियो ऑन करके बैठे हैं. तो आपने आज बोला भी नहीं. क्या बात है.
मैम एक्चुअली मैं कुछ काम कर रहा हूँ और सुन भी रहा हूँ.
अच्छा, कैसा लगा आपको सेशन?
मैम बहुत ही अच्छा था.
जी, थैंक यू. All right, so just to reiterate, SharEd for Planet is a platform wherein we invite people like Garima who are doing groundwork into the field of environment, nature conservation, sustainability, waste management, etc. So that we can actually make our earth a better place to live for ourselves and also for our future generations. We host these sessions once every month. We are also planning to start offline sessions in the coming future. And there's a WhatsApp group, जिसका link मेरी colleague मोहिता ने chat पे share किया है. If you are not a part of that WhatsApp group called Green Learning Circles, please you can click on the link and join so that you can get all the recent updates which we kind of share as part of CreateNet Education and SharEd for Planet. I would like to thank. Sorry, yeah.
Sorry. Nothing.
No,
I
no,
just
please
wanted
go
to
ahead.
thank everyone for coming to the session and hearing me out. So thank you so much for that. That's it.
Yeah, I would like to thank Garima. I had never imagined that, just reiterating that studying together and then now hosting you would, so I did not imagine in my dreams as well. So thank you for doing what you are doing. I had never imagined you doing this. So thank you. And there are so many email IDs people have messaged on the chat box. They will reach out to you or you can also reach out to them. Garima has already shared her email ID. And please do join us on the Green Learning Circle group for interesting updates. Jasmeet, would you like to share something? She is the CEO of CreateNet Education. So just inviting her to share a few words.
Really privileged to be with this group. And yeah, I joined in a little late because I had another session going on. Garima, heard a lot about the work that you're doing. Very excited and really grateful. There's so much that, you know, जब भी आपको सुनती हूँ, ये SharEd के conversations में आती हूँ, there's so much that each of us needs to do. ऐसा लगता है कि we're doing very little. So every time you come and you share the kind of work that you're doing, I think it inspires all of us to do that little more. जो थोड़ा सा कम कर रहे थे या कहीं पर motivation, energy, skill, awareness कम हो गई थी, वो थोड़ी सी बढ़ जाती है. So I think thanks to your conversations, all of us get pushed to also contribute and do our little bit. So really grateful that you took out time to come and have these conversations. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Maneet, which class are you in? He's sharing very interesting knowledge on the chat.
I'm in 5th currently.
5th?
सबसे बड़ा है यहाँ पर.
Wow. 5th?
Yes, I've been interested in environment. So my mother told me about this. So
You know, can I just respond to that comment? Yes. So one of the sessions we definitely need to do with kids is with experts who work on plastics. And the reason that I'm saying is because right now there is a lot of push on finding solutions to the problem of plastic, but not all the solutions are a great idea. Now, for example, scientists have found a bacteria that eats plastic. First question, can it be scaled? Can it be scaled to eat 350 million tons of plastic a year? Most likely, no. How much time will it take to scale it up? So this might sound very nice when we read about it, but what is the, how much can we implement something like this? Then there was something else some kids again had told me about, where they found an animal which can eat plastic, and when it poops it out, it's in the poop, and then you can collect the poop from the ocean. And I asked again, 5.25 trillion pieces of plastic in the ocean. Are you going to go collect all of that? You'll have to make a new machine to collect all that poop. There's more technology. It'll work on maybe electricity or batteries. It's a circle, right? And then you hear about these tiles being made out of plastic, construction material. So remember those 20,000 chemicals that go into making the plastics. Now, if you make tiles out of this and you put it on the ground, right, wherever rainwater is falling, and if it seeps down, are those chemicals leaching into the soil? Are there any studies on it? If not, can we safely assume that, it's completely safe? So these are questions that when a solution comes, I think we have to really think about it. Bioplastics, making plastics out of plant-based fibers. How much plant-based fiber will you need to produce 350 million tons of plastic a year? Imagine everything was biofuels. You'd possibly have to cut down a lot of forest or convert agricultural land into, the land that is used to grow these things. And I don't mean to sound like a pessimist. Oh God, there is no solution. We are dying. Technically, I guess we are, global warming and all, if we have to look at the figures. But what I mean is, we have to be able to sift through information and understand what is being sold to us as a solution, and to see through it, whether it really is a solution or is it just a new marketing gimmick, or someone wants to patent something and make money out of it. And kids are very susceptible to these kind of things, right? And I'm really happy Maneet brought this up, and this gave us a chance to speak about this, but it's very important to talk to kids about these things.
Thank you, Maneet. Pooja, which grade you are in? You also were sharing a lot of responses on chat.
I'm actually in the same class as Maneet.
Same class, 5th grade.
Yeah, so I'm the same school. So I forwarded him the message, the link from So Good. I'm from So Good.
that's true. She's from my class only, actually.
This is the youngest audience I've ever had.
That's my mother's name, though. My name is Anaya.
Oh, nice, Anaya. Hi, Anaya. Okay, so these were the kids who were responding too much on chat. Some people have left. So I didn't know that these are kids. Okay.
Pooja, Maneet, thank you so much for attending.
I hope you take this conversation back to So Good with the rest of the group there, and you share with them about it, and with Pragati Didi and with everybody else there.
Yes, I would love to.
I've tried a lot to put this forward in my class. This is kind of year-old efforts now. I've tried a lot in the past.
Amazing work, Maneet.
Goodness.
Yeah, that's very amazing.
Don't
Keep at
give
it.
up.
I
Keep
agree.
at it. You're getting there. That you've done it for a year is such a wonderful feeling for us, and it's so encouraging for all of us. So thank you, Maneet, and carry on.
Yeah. So Maneet, like she said, when you come to a group like this, you find so many others who are also trying. So you're not alone. All of us are trying. Like she said, keep at it. Don't give up. Okay.
Thank
Okay, he has left another comment on the chat for you, Garima. Okay.
Okay. Also, Kritika, I'm not able to copy emails from this somehow. Will you have access to the chats later?
Yeah, I will have. I'll share it with you later. But
Yes,
you can. You have already shared your email, and people can definitely write to you.
Repurpose the atoms for different things. I mean, we can't even repurpose the plastic. You'll end up, matlab, it's a physics question, I think. Did you really mean atoms?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
actually, the point is because nuclear fission technically splits the atoms. So, what if we could use that to separate all the atoms in plastic and then put them into different classes so that we could make different things out of them?
I did not study physics. The only thing that I do know from this is that nuclear fission takes a lot of energy.
Garima was not good in science, I think.
Yeah,
Garima?
I hated. I didn't like science. Now I do have to read a fair bit of it. But yeah, creating new technology takes a lot of money and energy. And energy is coming. Electricity is coming out of coal and oil. Remember that, a lot of it.
Yes. Actually, I don't want to venture much into physics right now because if we start the discussion, then it's going to go really deep because nuclear fusion and all of that will come into my mind. I've already had a lot of
Like,
ideas.
he's in 5th grade and he's talking about all of this. I mean, I look at my Kritika, do you remember us in 5th grades?
Yeah, I know. हम तो birthday parties ही मनाते थे केवल.
There's a bright future ahead. Maneet's going to sort out the problems for all of us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you everyone for joining in. Please do write to Garima for any support you would want to give in or for any kind of conversation connected with whatever she shared today. Please do join the Green Learning Circles group. This video will also be there on our CreateNet Education official YouTube channel. The link for which I will post in the WhatsApp group itself. We are also on the Facebook page named CreateNet Education. So you can also get in touch with us on that platform for any future updates. Thank you for today. We have already exceeded time, so I would like to end the session. Thank you, Garima. Thank you everyone for joining in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Garima.